Welcome to Read Your Comics. I'm in week 9 of the Age of Apocalypse. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Daryl. I am the host of Read Your Comics. I am doing a real-time read-through of the Age of Apocalypse, and I am in week 9. This is starting the third full month of the event. Why am I doing this? Well, it's the 30th anniversary of the Age of Apocalypse, and I thought it would be fun to relive the whole event in that week-by-week format that it originally came out. So these are the books that would have come out the first week of March in 1995. So I'm going to start with the Astonishing X-Men because I think that's kind of how they want you to do this month to month. I think they wanted you to start with Astonishing, and then Amazing X-Men would be the last book of the month. They kind of wanted you to like bookend it with the two like core X-Men books. But before I do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the viewer support. All your likes, comments, and shares are appreciated. And if you're new to the channel and just haven't done so already, please hit subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit like. Do that now so you don't forget later. A lot of people just watch a video and let it autoplay to the next one, and they forget to hit like, even though they really like the video. So just go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and jump into Astonishing X-Men number 3. Love this Rogue cover. You definitely get this Joe Mad feel with these. It's the shape of his feet, you know, and like the way that Rogue's hair is. She's got the big white poof in the front. You got Sunfire in the background and his awesome looking Age of Apocalypse-ness, and they're taking on these infinite characters, which at this point we've pretty much determined they are more or less drones. They are genetically created things. You never see their faces. They may not even have faces. We don't really know. They're more or less cannon fodder for all the X-Men to kill, because these X-Men, they live in a very rough world. They don't hold back. So Joe Mad is the artist on this title. I think that was one of the appealing things for a lot of people through this event. Scott Lobdell is the plotter, and Jeff Loeb is on dialogue for this one. I don't think that Jeff Loeb did dialogue for the previous 2 issues, so kind of an odd addition to the team right here. Maybe Scott Lobdell didn't have time to get the dialogue done. I don't know. In Excess. So the last issue we left off, Sabretooth had just taken on the character Holocaust and had sent Wildchild, who's kind of like his dog in a way or something, to go tell Rogue the information that he had found about the factory where they build the, I think it was the factory where they build the Infinites, or where they do the culling, something like that. And of course the Infinites, there's a team of them chasing after him. And just as they think they got him, Holocaust shows up too. This is an awesome panel. This is like very manga influence. Just this, the framing of it, the oversized like upper torso, this crazy looking whatever this is, like a gun hand. I don't know what that is. It's like a club almost in his arm, but he fires stuff from it. It's interesting. Something that we haven't seen before. So the Infinite troops are also kind of confused because they thought they left Holocaust behind. And also we saw Sabretooth break his little helmet piece off right here the last time we saw it. And we quickly find out this Holocaust isn't what he appears to be. And we can see the face isn't quite the skull face that we've seen in Holocaust so far. This is Morph, and he's going to put on a show almost like a cartoon character. He starts pretending to do a show tune and stuff, which confuses the Infinites. Sunfire, who shows up and is not amused. Sunfire's attitude in this is not too different from his attitude in the main X-Men continuity, but he's almost a little bit, he's a little more downtrodden, I would say. So kind of just hot-headed, very stubborn still, just like he was before, but he went through a lot, which we learned about in the last issue, about how he ended up. It doesn't really explain how he got to this look, but it explains like what happened in Japan with Apocalypse and stuff. And he's just, with his arms crossed still, just turns on his flame and melts these dudes. And then he's annoyed with Morph being a goof. I thought something neat here on Morph when he's changing back into himself, the way that it's represented with these little lines, it's almost like a glitch. It's not just like a smooth, like rendering or transition like we think of in like in morphing and in any kind of other medium. It's almost like he glitches when he turns into different shapes. So Rogue comes in with Blink. I like that Blink, and her little portal opens up and they drop out. Wild Child's there and they're like, "Where's Victor?" He can't talk, but he knows what's happening, so he's going to lick Rogue so that she kind of absorbs his memories and she gets it all. And I love this. It's like she takes on a little bit of his power. Of course, she smacks him awake. She doesn't like people doing that, but she takes on a little bit of his power. It like she has claws kind of grow out of her fingernails. Her teeth get sharp. This is a very manga face all around with the way the eyes are drawn, the big mouth, everything about it. So by doing that, though, she knows where Sabretooth is or where he was last seen, and they're going to go try to rescue him. We thought he was dead, actually. At the end of the last issue, it looked like Holocaust had beaten him to death, but he's still alive. Holocaust kept him alive because he wants him to see this. And again, look at these mouths and the eye shapes and the way the hair is drawn and everything. It's Joe Mad. I say it every time we look at one. He was just doing something so different for Marvel Comics that it really jumped out. And I remember some of the older people that hung around the comic shop hated it, but I loved it. Even though I wasn't like a big manga or anime fan. I mean, I watched Akira and stuff, but like I that wasn't like my thing. I wasn't into that, but I did like this. I wasn't against it. I really just wasn't that exposed to it. Anyway, so he's gonna hold up Sabretooth and show him here's the factory. This is what he was guarding. See, his helmet here is still busted, but he has more of a skull face than what we saw with Morph doing it. Look at him there. He looks like the Red Skull. I like his mouth on that one too. Sabretooth's just kind of talking trash to him, even though he's not really in the best position to do so. But at this point, I think Holocaust knows that Wild Child got away and the rest of the X-Men are going to come to him. And why not just keep Victor alive to use as bait for the rest of the team? But by being smacked again, we get a little bit of a flashback here. So Blink was in one of these pens, and you get a quick glimpse of Wolverine and Sabretooth working together in this time period, in this timeline. It's easy to forget this isn't like the future. This is like the present day. This was the timeline of them working together, and he knows somebody's in there, even though Wolverine's telling him like we got to get out of here. But he, is like, okay, we'll see what's in there. You get the snicked and that ka-ching. That's pretty much all you get, and it was Blink. So then we kind of get a little bit of the backstory that he rescued her from the pens, and that's why through the dialogue that we've seen in the issue so far, she's pretty attached to him in almost a fatherly kind of way. This is a pretty interesting scene here with Morph. He's turned himself into like a platform, and Sunfire is carrying the platform. I wonder if this black is like meant to be like a heat shield so that it doesn't burn Morph. I don't know. That's kind of strange. And Morph can like then change his head from being in the top and joining that conversation to down here. And we just get more of that banter between these two characters. Morph tries to be lighthearted and lighten the mood and not be so overly serious. Sunfire just does not care for it at all. Look at the similarities in their faces right here. Morph's design is pretty neat. He wasn't like a character in the main timeline. Joe Mad really got to play with him and just kind of do what he wanted to in this one. We get a quick flash to Magneto, and he's trying to make sure Bishop is ready to take out him when he goes back in time. That's their big plan, is to somehow send Bishop back in time to fix the timeline by saving Charles Xavier by going ahead and killing him. And I don't know why Bishop's having a hard time with it. It seems like that'd be something he should do. But for the drama's sake, we got to have Bishop having conflicted emotions about it. You got to remember, too, Bishop's not really all there. He doesn't... Everything he remembers is kind of like piecemeal. It's like fragmented. So he's having a hard time with even his personality, even though he's been living in this world for 20 years. And while they're talking, the nanny robot gets some kind of alert to protect Charles. Look how she gets like the ribbony looking metal coming up too. We've already seen that a couple of times with different things, with Skin and with Abyss and other books. Get it again here. Must have been a big trendy thing to draw that kind of stuff in the 90s. And she's going into super protective mode, which means Magneto realizes that must mean one thing: Apocalypse is coming. Back to Holocaust, we see the Stormtrooper Infinites being like taken off the assembly line, I guess. Now, this is something about Morph that I don't get. This is Morph, and he can morph to the size of a whale. So, how does he create that mass? It seems like if you have the ability to add mass to yourself, you would just be big all the time. Or is it just kind of hollow? It's just like very thin. He's able to at least turn into the whale and swim up this river into the facility. And inside the mouth is the rest of the team. So kind of a Trojan horse or a Trojan whale. Then he turns into an octopus to slap him around and stuff. Morph still being funny. Rogue makes a joke, or Rogue's not making a joke. She said, "We're going to bring this place down brick by brick." And Morph, who's turned into the brick wall, says, "Hey, I resemble that remark." It's one of my favorite lines to say, too. Blink sees Victor somewhere with tears welling up in her eyes. She does her blink away. And then we're left again with the cliffhanger a second time of Sabretooth. This time he's chained up, hanging from something. So pretty good issue overall. Kind of weak that it ends in a very similar cliffhanger as last issue. Last issue ended with a cliffhanger involving Sabretooth being dead. This one kind of doing the same, but I think this one's a little better not better, but this one still stands alone because of the characterization between Sunfire and Morph mostly. Get a little bit more backstory on the Sabretooth and Blink thing, and then also speeding up towards this conclusion with, or at least the initial battle with Apocalypse and Magneto. So quick read. I think this one reads quick. Part of that is the Joe Mad already does like, big bold panels. Not a ton of dialogue to read, but gives you just enough. It's a solid third issue overall. Let's look at X-Man #3. Don't love this cover. It's okay, but I mean, just portraits of the two characters could have probably given us a little bit more, especially considering what's going on in the issue. Doesn't really sell what's happening in the issue here. You're just like, we get this wizardy looking guy. If you haven't been reading it, it's Forge. But if you haven't been reading it and you're just like, oh, what's this X-Man book? I don't know. Does this guy get your attention? Dude with rogue hair. I can't say that this cover is great. I do like Forge in this, but again, if you hadn't been reading the book, I don't know that issue 3 would have been the one to grab you to be like, oh, I need to go pick up those other 2 issues. So jump in with a big portrait of Forge. You've got like a triangle thing here, which is a blade, but I think it's kind of hard to tell exactly what this is right here. And Forge being at the point of it, there's our Essex character. And it's Domino, and she explains too here where she knows all about them being a troupe of actors and how they're really kind of doing like the Robin Hood bit, like blowing up trains and little factories and stuff. She says it's a small fries to Apocalypse, but they know that he has a telepath and she wants to get him. Then you get Essex saying, Forge is fooling himself. Domino is Apocalypse's most dangerous assassin. Kind of funny considering that he has like the Horsemen and stuff, but whatever. We got to build Domino up. We're familiar with Domino from the regular timeline, so got to build her up into being something, pretty special, right? And it's interesting because, Domino and her relationship with Cable, to have her in this book, and this is the kind of a young Cable that's not being held back by the technovirus, and then have Domino, his love interest from the main timeline, be kind of the villain chasing after him. Forge throws down a flash bomb or a flash grenade and is able to escape briefly and get over to the rest of the troop, which is Mastermind and Toad, who are left. Sauron is part of it, but he actually got his wing blown off a couple issues back. This is a good look at Forge. You get a really good look at his feet, his mechanical, all his cybernetic parts that he has built for himself. They mentioned in here too that he did used to run with Magneto, so that kind of gives you a little bit more backstory on what Forge had been up to. Forge in his mind had told Nate to flee, but he's going to go in and attack anyway. Meanwhile, they try to pass Mastermind off as the telepath that Domino has come for. She doesn't know Nate. She's never seen him before, so they're just trying to stall to let Nate escape. She has her doubts because he's like this old man, and he uses his power to make this awesome looking apocalypse come up from the ground. I mean, this is a pretty awesome shot right here that should have been saved for like a real apocalypse coming to get everybody. It's a great page by Steve Scrooge. I love the wrinkles on his brow right there. He's got the big mouth like Joe Mad does in the other books. But Domino's wise to it. She's pretty smart. She gets one shot and she blasts Mastermind and just incinerates him. Turns him into a skull. I like how he has his like lobotomy scar on his skull right there. Forge, of course, is like, what in the world? so far in this little group, in 3 issues, we've seen Sauron get his wing clipped. Mastermind is now dead. Oh, and the other character whose name was Brute, I think. Brute got killed at the end of last issue. We just didn't see it right away. He had gone to confront Essex, who was Sinister. Then he disappeared. So he was dead. So this troop dwindling down fast. Here comes Nate, and it gives you a good sense of like his power. It talks about the energy around him is like crackling as he comes in and just comes in to save Forge. And this is just a throwdown, a well-drawn, well-choreographed, very clear what's happening here. She tries to, hit him in the face. She gets her hit in, but he just uses this psi power to throw telekinetic blasts at her. I like this shot. I guess she's like jumping to dodge while blasting. Great domino pose. It's only missing an angle of her face where you can see her eye patch or her. I guess it's like an eye patch in this, although in the regular universe, it's really like almost like a birthmark or something. And he can use it as a shield as telekinetic powers. Great angle of this panel here. I love the sword coming like off the page, the foreshortening. We get a quick Toad versus Caliban, and they both get a hit in. Caliban's coming in. Toad stabs him, so takes out Caliban. And he's about to make some snide remark about it when Grizzly comes up behind him. This is a good size comparison thing. This would be like good for the Hulk. It doesn't show it. Forge jumps in and says, "That's the last life you'll take." So now Toad's gone too. So now both Toad and Mastermind have been killed. Brute has been killed. Sauron had his wing clipped. Forge is left, and he takes out Grizzly somehow pretty easily and says, "My only regret is having to kill you quickly." So very brutal, very brutal. You don't usually see an X-Men book like this with this kind of just like death, just like everybody dies. And here's where Nate Gray is going to just take out Domino. And he just does it by just going into her mind. Enough just throwing raw energy at her. It's time to attack her like straight in her brain. It's almost too easy. Nate reaches inside her mind and peels back the layers of her memory, uprooting each death which Domino brought about by her own hands, until her mind overflows with the imagery that she once reveled in. Kind of giving her the penance stare here. That's basically what he's doing. That's what Ghost Rider does when he gives the penance stare to people. Just makes them relive all their evils and have it affect them down to their soul. I guess that's like Apocalypse peeling away. And leaves her catatonic. Him and Forge have a quick reunion. Nate says, he was right, that he's kind of worried about what his powers are doing to him. and wants to make sure that he trains a little bit more with Forge before they try to go take on Apocalypse. He doesn't realize that they're in the third issue of a 4-issue series and that he's not really going to have a choice in this. Forge goes back in and sees Brute, who Essex tries to claim Domino died. Forge isn't buying it, and he says, "I will fight you to my last breath." And Essex says, "Well, this shouldn't take very long." Nate, who's outside burying the dead with Sauron, all of a sudden he gets hit by the psi-link he has with Forge as he sees, Forge's monocle there is cracking. He goes in to see what's going on, finds him dead. Forge, with his dying telekinetic psi-link with Nate, tells him to go find Magneto, that he knows what to do, and he gets a big rush of memories telling him what to do. Look, you got Forge and Storm right there too, so they're even in this world they had a moment. Not sure what's going on in this memory here. You see him building his arms out. I guess this is him finding Nate and joining Nate, and then you see Essex. And Nate just goes off again, lets his powers explode. Essex shows up, and Nate just blasts him, just melts him away. Looks like it incinerates him, and he reveals himself to be Sinister. And he says, "You wanted answers, now you shall have some." And then the next issue, it says they're going to tell you the truth about X-Man and the art of war. I mean, it's hard to believe these third issues with only one issue left to go in both the titles. This one feels like it's coming to a head. This one feels like it's just starting to scratch the surface. And I think we all knew that there was only 1 month left of these books. So I think that this third issue is really a good kind of climax before the finale. Solid week overall. You got Joe Mad, Steve Scrose, probably one of the best single weeks. It's hard to say. There's so many good artists that work on these books. It's hard to be like, oh, this was the best week, but this was a good one for sure. Well, that's it. That's all I got for these two. Until next time, read your comics. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my breakdown of this issue, you can support the channel by hitting subscribe. It costs you nothing and helps other comic fans find the channel. You can also visit readyourcomics.com for cool merch, like this. Read Your Comics isn't just a brand, it's a mantra. And when you wear a Read Your Comics shirt, you are helping spread the word. For more classic comics conversation, be sure to follow me on Instagram at read.your.comics. And if you're still here, why not watch one of my older videos? Here or here.